Hey everybody. First off, it's a little awkward being in front of the camera. If anything, I'm used to being behind the camera. But anywho, several of you have reached out to me and asked me questions about adoption. So I thought it would be easier if I created a video instead of writing each and every one of you a long-winded answer. So anyways, we'll start with the latest one. So in the next 3 to 5 years, it's my goal to adopt. Do you have any advice or opposition to adoption? And are there things you wish you knew or you didn't know? Okay, so wow, there's quite a bit there to unpack. So for this video, for the sake of brevity, I just want to talk about opposition to adoption. Maybe next week I'll hit on something else. Overall, I am for adoption. I think it's a great thing. I benefited greatly from it. You can find those, though, adoptees that are very much against adoption. Some of it may stem from their personal experiences. Their family situations may have been terrible. Anything you can imagine, from being violently abused, neglected, or emotionally abused. They have their reasons. Also, some may have more of a more philosophical opposition to adoption, or they may be against the institution of adoption themselves. What I mean by that is, like, some of the adoption agencies may not have the best practices, so they might be the ones that are neglecting children, or really crowding their whatever facilities that they're using, nurseries or whatnot, with many babies, and they just don't have the staff to look out for those kids. Or they might be sourcing their children from illegal activities like human trafficking or kidnapping and things along those lines. So I guess the thought there is, if you adopt from a institution that is operating in that way, that you're also perpetuating that activity. So I think that that varies a bit with the adoption agencies themselves and the country that you're adopting from. So for peace of mind, I recommend doing your homework about the agency itself and how transparent they are, and maybe this is contentious as well, but maybe, I'm going to say it anyways, maybe adopt from a country that is a little more transparent in the way that they support their public services and how they regulate those. I know that some of you might be thinking, well, what about these other kids from these other third world countries? That what about them? And I don't have an answer for you there. But going back to my overall point, I think adoption is a good thing. For myself, I was adopted through Holt Agency, and particular to Holt, they haven't had the best history. So I think decades ago, they also were involved in kidnapping and trafficking or things along those lines. But the agency itself has evolved, and it continues to evolve and do better things. I can't verify personally those accusations or those claims, but that would be the stance that some of these adoptees that are opposed to an institution like Holt, for example. But I think it's very easy, but why I'm for adoption. I think it's very easy to forget that in my case, Korea was not the powerhouse, economic powerhouse that it is today. In the mid 70s, early 80s, and even earlier, it was a struggling country compared to what's happening now. And my parents were very young when they had me, and they put me up for adoption. They tried to raise me for a few years. They just, not even having a high school education, their opportunities were very limited. And as a result, I grew up in the U.S. there are things that I could have hoped for, a better situation in some senses, but I'm not going to complain because if you look at where I am now, I have my MBA from a top tier MBA program, and I found myself in a position where I can not only provide myself, but I can also support others when that time comes. So I'm very thankful, I'm very grateful to my journey overall, and I'm still learning more things about it. I mean, and I'm almost 35 years old, so whoa, did I say that? But yeah, it's not a stagnant thing. It's always changing. So I think there's a lot of growing that's involved. But I can speak more to that in other videos. Thanks for your time.